Hey guys, what's going on? Steven back again, and I'm back with another 40k video from Imperial Iterator. And the topic for today's video is relations between Primarchs and their legions. So, very interesting topic here. It'll be interesting to see, what it's like between Primarchs and their legions, I guess maybe how they interact with each other, like for example, Vulcan, maybe he has a I don't know, like an open door policy. If any of my sons want to come and talk to me, that's fine. Maybe someone like, I don't know, Gilliman might be like, I can't fraternize with you and stuff like that, follow a very military style. Who knows, maybe there's some traitor Primarchs who are like, yep, do not talk to me at all. I will only talk to, these 5 commanders here, and even that is just to relay orders, and that is it. Don't talk to me. And then I guess, just overall relations. That'll be very interesting. So, let's get into the video and check it out. So, here we go.
They are my sons, and in them shall dwell the hopes of a unified humanity. Their strength shall prevail not only when victory appears effortless, but also when it seems beyond reach, when doom settles like a shroud. In times of darkness, my noble son shall shine the brightest.
One hell of a chin.
Throughout history, in every armed force, the relationship between soldiers and their commanders has always been one of the most crucial elements of warfare. From the respect for the leader inspired by personal strength and victories, to the behavior strictly regulated by the code of conduct. Discipline remains a vital component of service, without which any unit would simply become unmanageable.
Right.
And even the finest defenders of humanity, the invincible warriors of the Astartes, submit to this most ancient rule. However, the Legion's relationship with their Primarchs has always been something more than mere subordination. The very nature of the Astartes sets them apart from the rest of humanity. To command the Death Angels into battle, it is not enough to be just a competent commander. For this, the Emperor created demigods, his genetic sons, each of whom by their mere existence can provoke acts of fanatical devotion among ordinary people, taking the very concept of submission to the level of instincts.
Okay.
Yet, this places immense responsibility on the Primarchs.
Right.
They are infinitely removed from the sufferings of ordinary people, and even the Astartes under their command seem like children compared to these demigods. And the Primarchs had to exert tremendous efforts to achieve simple mutual understanding with their subordinates, and each of the 20 tackled this task in their own way.
Okay.
Moreover, each of the Primarchs had their flagship, whose appearance in a planet's orbit meant that its inhabitants were left with only one choice: compliance or flame. Primarch Lion L. Johnson of the First Legion always stood apart from his brothers in what could be termed as majesty. Anyone who beheld the Primarch in person noted that his very presence compelled one to kneel before him.
Oh yeah,
However, the fact that every individual automatically perceived him as some divine figure sent unto them weighed heavily on the Primarch himself. Lion grew up on the feudal world of Caliban, where people were forced to fight for survival against creatures spawned by the endless forests and warped by the Immaterium.
Okay.
Throughout his life, he dedicated himself to protecting
humanity. It does have to be a little weird having like everybody kneel to you all the time.
And from his earliest years as a member of a knightly order, he absorbed the ideals of valor and martial brotherhood. This is why he transformed his legion into a semblance of knights. He saw himself not as a father and master, but rather as an equal to his legionnaires, a brother and commander. And his overwhelming aura of majesty helped maintain the loyalty of his subordinates. Even after 10,000 years, when the Primarch returned to his warriors, all of them, even those deemed fallen, those who had betrayed him during the times of Horus's heresy, returned to his banner without hesitation. Primarch Fulgrim is the living proof of the Emperor's genius, the impeccable leader of the Third Legion, a godlike, sinless entity, incapable of defeat or flaw, the most worthy of emulation and reverence, the embodiment of perfection. Yet, a blind fool, fallen victim to his own arrogance, a half-mad narcissist craving praise and adoration, a spoiled child enamored with his own reflection, oblivious to the fact that he is made of evil and blood. A disgusting example of betrayal, unable to accept his own guilt. From birth, Fulgrim was the object of universal attention and admiration, a star child bringing water.
So he wanted to be
He
adored
led his native world
admired.
to prosperity. And when the Great Crusade found the Primarch, he was already distinctly aware that he was far superior and better than any of those around him. His ambition to perfect everything from warfare to art,
totally different from
he
the
instilled
Lion.
in his legion. As Fulgrim sought to approach the greatness of the Emperor, his Space Marines aspired to be worthy of their Primarch. Fulgrim regarded the Legionnaires as his children and students, whom he ought to guide on the proper path, and was free to punish for their transgressions. The Emperor's children answered to him with boundless loyalty and genuine admiration, seeing their Primarch as the saviour of the Legion and the living embodiment of humanity's dream. Eventually there was hardly anyone left who could see how the Legion and the Primarch were swiftly marching into the abyss, marvelling at the perfection of its void. Perfection turned into painful perfectionism. Mentorship transformed into arrogance, rivalry into enmity, an unbreakable fighting spirit into blind overconfidence. A legion that celebrated victory before battle became a legion of chaos-reclaimed cutthroats, becoming a nightmare for those they were
Celebration
meant to
before they
protect.
even battled.
The chosen warriors of Slaanesh no longer strive for perfection. They have long achieved it in their pursuit of endless ecstasy and slaughter. Yet, even becoming carriers of terror, they retained this endless loyalty to their Primarch, time and again attempting to revive the long-dead Legion, and they were
Wow.
even ready to follow
That's
a clone
dedication.
of Fulgrim when their true
Jeez.
Primarch withdrew from his children.
Even after all that, they're
Only
still
Fabius
dedicated.
Bile, who was always more of a scholar than a warrior, could afford to treat the grim situation with disdain. His pursuit of perfection was never of interest to the apothecary. Perturabo, the Primarch of the Fourth Legion, was always demanding and reclusive. Few could earn his respect, let alone his friendship. He was the embodiment of iron, both in resilience and in insensitivity. He never shared the romanticism of his brothers. Even the Great Crusade itself he regarded as a task to be accomplished. In this, he never relied on such aspects as loyalty and respect from his subordinates. Almost everyone who had seen the Primarch in the flesh described him as reserved and reticent, his mistrust for those around him bordering on paranoia.
Oh, wow.
Perhaps this was why his personal guard never consisted of living beings, but rather a detachment of machines constructed by the Primarch himself, unfailingly executing any command. He
Wow.
demanded the same from
Okay.
his legionnaires. Every Space Marine had to be capable of completing any task assigned to them. The Iron Warriors were to become components of the immaculately tuned mechanism that the Primarch envisioned his legion to be. And if any part suddenly ceased to function, it was mercilessly replaced with a new one.
Jeez.
The Iron Warriors themselves aspired to be
Okay.
worthy components of the Legion. However, their eagerness to please their Primarch soon crossed the bounds of the permissible. Perturabo failed to turn his Space Marines into unquestioning automatons, and each of them, in their strive to secure a distinguished place within the Legion, did not shy away from anything, not even the murder of their own brothers. Nevertheless, Perturabo found this state of affairs to his liking.
Huh.
After all, the Iron
course you
Warriors
like that.
remain one of the few traitor legions that still exist as a legion to this day. Jagatai Khan, Primarch of the White Scars Legion, has always been an enigma to those around him. Beneath the guise of a savage nomad always lurked the cold.
That has to be like the derpiest picture of the Khan. Like one of his eyeballs is up and looks like the other one is cross-eyed. Like this one here looks like it's pointing up, and then like this one here is just cross-eyed.
And penetrating mind of a strategist and lord, not given to verbosity and constantly concealing his intentions until the last moment, always making others regard him with suspicion. This blend of savagery and intellect made the White Scars stand out even among their brother Astartes from other legions. After all, Jagatai himself was a nomad and built his legion on principles familiar to him. He was always the chieftain of the United Tribes of Free People, not
So
the
again, he
general
made
of a
his legion
strictly
in his
organized
image.
army. The
way
Primarch
he
genuinely
wanted.
loved his legionnaires and encouraged among them freedom of thought and a creative approach to problem solving, often leaving his
Oh.
subordinates to make important decisions on their own.
Okay.
Such an approach bore its fruits. The White Scars saw in their Primarch a strong and authoritative leader, but not a master and overlord. Because of this, at the start of the heresy, half of the Legion nearly turned to Horus's side.
Really?
And it was only the Primarch's personal intervention that stopped the Legion from internal conflict.
Wow.
As for Leman Russ, the father of the
Had no
Space
idea.
Wolves never aspired to be a lord and master to anyone. Raised in the culture of the wild peoples of Fenris, Leman Russ, characterized by a very straightforward nature,
Lemon Russ.
simply took what he regarded as his and was always ready to serve those who proved to be stronger and more worthy than himself. Thus, he became one of the most loyal servants of the Emperor. Seeing in him not a universally beloved master of humanity, but a leader worthy of allegiance against whom resistance was simply futile, his Space Wolves always operated on a similar principle. Recruiting from Fenris, Leman Russ filled his legion with people who shared and supported his mindset. The Space Wolves were always loyal to their father and were willing to follow him anywhere.
Okay.
However, the Primarch never distanced himself from his sons, sharing with them the joys of victory and the madness of battle.
Okay,
He
well,
did
that's
not
really
tolerate
good.
insolence, yet he understood humour. He was stronger than any of his legionnaires, but never oppressed them. He was
Okay.
always their leader, and they were his wolves.
But never like his master, their master.
The relationship between Rogel Dawn and the Imperial Fists could be described as that of a father to his sons. The Primarch genuinely cared for his legion, turning it into an indestructible force capable of repelling any threat from space. He was always demanding and fair to his legionnaires, but did not tolerate betrayal or disobedience. The story
Fair
of
enough, who
Sigismund
would?
exemplifies the relationship between the Primarch and his legion. When the captain of the First Company strayed from imperial truths, accepting the Emperor as a god, Dawn could not forgive his son, yet allowed him to fulfill his duty to the very death at the hands of Abaddon. While the histories of other
Wow,
Primarchs
okay.
often tell tales of greatness and loyalty, Conrad Kurz represents more the embodiment of madness, disillusionment, and contempt.
Yeah, not surprised.
Entangled and driven mad by constant visions of the future, the Primarch of the Night Lords despised his legion, comprised of men he loathed. In the end,
Not
Kurz
surprised.
simply let go and submissively awaited his death, which marked the end of the Primarch's endless nightmares. The Night Lords fully embraced their nature. If elite assassins are endowed with the power of the Astartes, they inevitably become the nightmare of all living things in the galaxy. And even the strength of a Primarch can hardly restrain the madness the Legion will unleash upon countless worlds, especially the power of a broken and insane Primarch.
Yeah,
Sanguinius
that's true.
could have become a second Fulgrim had he allowed his flawlessness to overshadow his mind to the same extent as his brother. Fortunately for the Imperium,
I
this
think
did
he
not
was
happen.
more humble.
The Primarch of the Blood Angels was always the embodiment of devotion, humility, and greatness. He demanded perfection from his children, but never distanced himself from them.
Okay.
He enjoyed the trust of the Emperor, but always sought to justify it. He gave his life in an effort to preserve his father's dream, in a battle
Fair
where
enough.
he stood no chance of victory, and his legion always reciprocated their Primarch's feelings. Ferrus
Kind of the
Manus'
same, just a
approach
little
to
opposite
legion
of Fulgrim.
command was similar to Perturabo's. However, contrary to the Primarch of the Iron Warriors, he did not have such issues with trusting his sons. The Primarch was demanding but fair, cruel but not withdrawn, and his legion endeavoured in every way to earn Ferris's respect and trust. But unlike the Iron Warriors, the 10th Legionnaires had chances of success that were non-zero, something that could never be said about the World Eaters. In a way, the 12th Legion never truly found their Primarch. Angron was a man deprived of everything. The slavers of Nuceria took his freedom, the
Oh,
butcher's
jeez.
nails took his sanity, and the Emperor deprived him of his only friends in life and of death itself. Angron
Yeah, I'm sure he
openly
didn't have
scorned his
much of a
Marines
relation at all.
and initially killed anyone who tried to speak to him. Eventually, he accepted command of the Legion, but continued to despise it, constantly demanding the impossible. He purged the Legion of Psychers. From his personal guard, he demanded the strength of a Primarch, and did not hesitate to kill his sons when they failed his commands. Ultimately, Angron followed Horus in the hope of avenging himself against the Emperor, and became a maddened monster, craving
So-
endless slaughter.
Don't talk
The
to
World Eaters, in
Angron.
turn, can be termed a lost legion.
You see
They
Angron
aspired
coming,
to
you just...
earn their father's love and become like him. Eventually the Legion simply ceased to exist, dissolving into disparate bands of berserkers collecting skulls for the Blood God. As for Roboute Guilliman and the Ultramarines,
Oh, this will be
there is
interesting.
not much to linger on.
Oh?
The 13th Legion was always the embodiment of order and civilization.
Okay.
Guilliman always regarded his Space Marines as his soldiers and subordinates.
I figured.
He treated them as individuals with whom one could speak, seek advice, and even jest.
Really?
However, the latter often irked those around him, as nothing in the Primarch's demeanour betrayed a sense of humour. In turn, the Marines saw him as a commander, to whom they bore responsibility, and to whom they must justify the trust placed in them, to a warp disgracing neither the Legion nor the Primarch.
Okay, so he was very open about
The relationship
things.
between Mortarion and the Death Guard was always somewhat distant and cold. Fundamentally, everyone in the Legion simply did their duty, trying not to meddle in each other's affairs. Those rare moments when he found himself alone with any of his sons could be described as awkward and tense. Nonetheless, despite this, the Primarch cared for his Legion. In a critical moment, he even gave himself to chaos to save the lives of his sons.
Oh.
However, such detachment led to some Legionnaires feeling no loyalty or affection towards their Primarch.
Okay.
A captain named Typhus openly scorned him, believing he had done far more in the service of Nurgle than his Primarch. Magnus, the Primarch of the Thousand Sons, always loved his Legion sincerely, and at one point refused the idea of reassembling it to stop the curse of flesh change. He sought to save his Astartes by any means, yet fell victim to his own pride. In his undoubted genius, he
Seems
came
like
to
a lot of the
believe he knew
traitor
better
ones are
than
like very
others,
like
and never heeded the counsel of
loving
his
to their
sons.
sons.
At a critical juncture, this led to direct insubordination when 1,000 sons clashed with the Space Wolves during the burning of Prospero. This eventually led to the infamous Rubric of Ahriman, following which the Legion ceased to exist in any recognizable form. Primarch Horus, the Emperor's favored son, a warrior unparalleled among the Primarchs, the embodiment of the dream for a united humanity, the guiding light
He
of the
probably
Great
wanted
Crusade,
praise.
forever etched in the annals of the Imperium as the arch-betrayer. During the times of the Great Crusade, Horus was the epitome of perfection, combining all the best attributes of his brothers, de-warp of their flaws. An unconquerable warrior and a grand diplomat, he was the wrath of the Emperor incarnate, yet also the beacon of the imperial truth.
Okay.
He was not merely the father and commander of his legion, he was its essence. Each legion had a circle of captains, those closest to the Primarchs, yet none of this bore any resemblance to the famed Mournival, which was not just a military council but a true circle of friends.
Oh.
The Lunar Wolves were ready not just to kill and die for their Primarch, they were willing to do anything for him, even that which would ultimately cast the Primarch into the abyss.
So they were very
Many
devoted
believe that
towards
the
him.
wound inflicted by the sword Anatheme was the starting point in Horus's fall. However, this is not entirely accurate. Contradictions in the relationship between the legions and the Imperium had been accumulating for a long time. Sooner or later, this was bound to have some consequences. However, without the interference of the Dark Gods, it is unlikely that it would have escalated into an overt rebellion. The galaxy is vast enough to find occupations for the discontented Space Marines. Yet, even so, the wound from the Anatheme merely served as a pretext for the true desecration of the Primarch.
Really?
Horus was loyal to the Imperial truths. In his right mind, he would never have heeded the whispers from the Immaterium. It took something that would prompt the Primarch to hear the voice from beyond. It was the lethal wound from the accursed blade, which would have inevitably killed the warrior.
Okay, so what is this accursed blade, and what's the backstory on that? And the wound he suffered? Yeah, I gotta learn more about that, because I didn't know about that at all.
That became such a prompt. Naturally, the ritual was not the first remedy used to save the warrior. It was the desperation of the close captains, witnessing that no one could assist their Primarch, that pushed the loyal friends to conduct a ritual in which nobody truly believed. It was then that Horus ceased to be himself. The Primarch returning to his sons scarcely resembled his former self. Trust was replaced with paranoia, intellect with cunning, and loyalty with hatred. As he advanced towards Terra, Horus sank deeper into the abyss of madness and swiftly lost the respect of his legionnaires.
Oh, wow.
And after the fateful duel with the Emperor, the Legion ceased to exist.
Huh. So
A similar
he lost the
narrative
respect of
unfolds
his men.
concerning Lorgar. Before the Horus heresy, the Primarch of the Word-Bearers was sincerely devoted to his legion and humanity. He took pride not in conquests, but in the flourishing worlds he newly forged. He saw in the Emperor a divine embodiment of humanity's will to live, a notion that displeased the Emperor himself, who denied any divinity. The public humiliation of Lorgar and the annihilation of Monarchia became a turning point in the Primarch's fate, instantly losing everything he believed in. In his quest for the universal truth, he lost his love not only for his domain, but for all humanity. After the heresy, he withdrew from his legion, and for 10,000 years now he has been delving into the essence of chaos.
I really
in
wonder
complete
what all
solitude.
these other Primarchs
In fact, he
look
no
like.
longer commands his legion.
Especially
the
the traitor
relationship between
ones.
Korax and his Raven Guard could be characterized by the phrase restrained devotion. It might appear from the outside that the Primarch is utterly indifferent to the fate of his legionnaires, and the Marines themselves regard him merely as a commander.
Okay.
However, the slaughter at the drop site vividly revealed this to be false. The practical loss of his legion has forever imprinted itself upon the Primarch's psyche.
Oh,
And
wow.
for 10,000 years he has sought vengeance against the traitors and hunts for Lorgar himself to obliterate him from the galaxy once and for all.
Whoa.
Vulcan, an indomitable warrior, whose strength in battle was tempered by profound wisdom, Vulcan was the lord and embodiment of the entire Salamander's Legion. He was considered the most humane Primarch, yet,
Not
true to his
surprised.
Primarch nature, in fury, he matched any of his brothers, despite being aware of the destruction and the power and responsibility that he and his legion bore. When the Emperor told him of the other Primarchs, Vulcan merely shook his head. He had no desire to be a conqueror or a subjugator, as his brothers were. In all his endeavours, Vulcan always sought to limit unnecessary and senseless destruction, seeing in it a path to ruination and the devastation
That's
of the
respectable.
soul. He compelled his legion to shift their approach to warfare, tempering the warrior's inclination for self-sacrifice with an understanding of its potential long-term consequences. Additionally, through iron discipline, relentless training, and superior equipment, the legionnaires mastered close-quarters combat and operations in Mortalis zones to perfection.
Oh, really?
Under
They're almost
Vulcan's leadership,
more
the
close
Salamanders
combat
became
fighting.
renowned
Okay.
as skilled artisans, creating magnificent weapons. He silently shouldered any hardships that fell to him or his sons, gaining wisdom from these trials to become an even better protector for the burgeoning Imperium. Vulcan
respectable.
purged haughtiness and uncontrollable rage from the Legion, replacing them with stoicism and absolute loyalty to humanity.
Wow.
From that moment on, the Salamanders were no longer spoken of as wrathful warriors who charged into battle at every turn, heedlessly sacrificing themselves. Vulcan's warriors were now known as reserved and skilled warriors whose anger quietly simmered in their hearts. But if he indeed burst forth, stopping them was impossible, like a volcanic lava wave sweeping everything in its path.
I'm not surprised.
For 3,000 years following the end of the Horus heresy, Vulcan led his chapter. But then the Primarch vanished, leaving the Salamanders with the task of finding 9 artifacts he had hidden across the galaxy. Thus, Vulcan sought to test his sons. Interesting, a merciful conqueror, a true marvel. As for Alfarius and Omegon, the very nature of
How
their
many of the
legion
artifacts
does
have
not
they
allow them
found
to
so
stand
far?
out openly among the other Space Marines. The Primarch always considered himself equal to his legionnaires and quelled any sprouts of attachment and dependence of the Legion on its Primarch. Alfarius needed the 20th to act independently of his direct participation and for each Space Marine to be equal to his Primarch. After all,
okay.
each of them is Alfarius.
That's true.
The relationship between the Primarchs and their legions
Sounds
was
pretty
always
cool that they're
greater
equal
than
to
mere
him.
subordination between a commander and subordinates. Astartes are no ordinary men, and to lead them into battle it is not enough to be just a good commander. Each Space Marine is an autonomous, competent, and monstrously effective combat unit. Such a weapon must be kept under the strictest control, and the one who leads the Astartes into battle must possess an unquestionable authority among them.
Right.
However, even the most flawless leader can lead his warriors into the Abyss. It's a different matter when the Abyss is the goal of their campaign.
True.
When the driver does not battle the Abyss but is instead its very spawn. When your leader carries forth fire and slaughter, when your purpose is absolute devastation, when you are led by the master of the end times.
Oh, okay. Oh, then I was jumping to the next video. Whoop, what the hell? How do I go back? Oh, I forgot I saved it. Back. Back. Oh my God.
They are
There
my
we go.
sons, and in them shall dwell the hopes of...
Okay, stop. My God, stop. Pause. Whew, okay. Whew, jeez, there we go. All right, so yeah, that was very interesting, learning about all the different relations between all the different Primarchs and stuff like that. You know, some were, you know, well, I don't like to see myself, I'd rather see myself as an equal to them. Some, you know, I want to be, you know, I'm above them, you know, I, you know, demand respect and stuff like that. Yeah, that was very, it was very interesting, you know, learning about, you know, like the lion and stuff like that, and how everybody always kneeled towards him and stuff like that. And, you know, then he made them all knights and stuff like that, because, I mean, that's got to be kind of awkward having everybody always kneeling for you and stuff. Fulgrim and stuff like that, that was another, you know, kind of not surprised. You know, I am better than everybody else, you know, I am above, you know, all of you. I demand, you know, respect and stuff like that, so kind of not surprised by that. You know, Jagatai Khan was very cool. Like I said before, like this, I don't know, AI or something like that, derpiest looking picture of him. You know, like I said, one eye pointing up, this eye pointing almost cross-eyed. But yeah, that's pretty cool that, you know, he saw himself, you know, as equals and let them have free will, and you know, you can make decisions on your own, you know. So that is actually very cool. Yeah, same thing with like Space Wolves and stuff like that. Conrad Kurz and Night Lords, well, I just kind of don't care, don't like you. You know, whatever. Blood Angels, you know, kind of right there, a little opposite of Fulgrim. Angron, what more needs to be said, you know? Not a whole lot needs to be said right there for Angron. Yeah, Gilliman, kind of the same way.
His Space Marines as
Yeah.
his soldiers and subordinates.
But
He treated them as individuals with whom
Which
one
is
could
very
speak,
cool.
seek advice, and even jest.
so that is very cool. I'm kind of not surprised by Gilliman, you know, seeing all of his sons as individuals, and, you know, if you want advice, you know, come talk to me. You know, that's pretty cool. Motari and stuff like that, you know, a little awkward there. Kind of surprised by, well, I don't know if I should be surprised by Magnus and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know with Magnus. I don't know if I should be surprised or not that he was, you know, very friendly towards, you know, his legion and stuff like that, and didn't really see himself above them. Horus, that's an interesting one. I still got to learn about that blade and that wound, because that I had no idea about. So I'm gonna have to find something about that to learn about that one. But yeah, I really want to see like some of these. I can't wait to see what like some of these Primarchs look like, especially like the trader ones and stuff. Yeah, Vulcan, not really surprised by him either. And then Alfarius, not really too surprised, since everyone's Alfarius, so it makes sense for them to be basically equals, you know. But yeah, that was another a very interesting video. That was pretty cool, learning about the relations between Primarchs and their legions. Just as I thought, everyone's going to have different feelings, different way of doing things. I'm above you, I demand respect. Some are just like, yeah, we're equals and stuff like that. Others are, yep, I'm your, commander and stuff. But also you can come and talk to me and seek advice and stuff. So that is very cool. That is very interesting, learning all the different relations, with the Primarchs and their legions. So, yeah, there we go. There is the video. That was very interesting. Very cool to learn about the relations. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. That'd be awesome. Remember, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media. Links in the description box below. And, of course, leave me all your thoughts and comments. What do you guys think about the video? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What do you think about the relations with the Primarchs and their legions? Did any of them kind of surprise you? What do you know about, this blade and the wound that was done to Horus? Let me know about that, because like I said, I didn't know about that. So let me know about that. And yeah, if there's any other videos you guys want me to check out, let me know down below in the comment section, and I'll be happy to make a video on it. So other than that, just stick around. More videos are on the way, and I will see you guys next time.